Hi, Mike here. This video is definitely one for beginners, although having said that, even seasoned Excel pros might pick up one or two tips. It's all about sheets and how to manage them. An Excel file, also known as a workbook, consists of one or more worksheets or sheets. Each sheet has a name to identify it, which is displayed in the Sheets tab. This workbook contains a single sheet called Sheet 1, whereas this workbook contains 10 sheets. A sheet consists of cells into which you enter data, and in the current version of Excel, each sheet contains, wait for it, 17,179,869,184 cells. When you start a new workbook, that workbook contains a single sheet. However, it's easy to add more sheets, and the good news is there is no limit to the number of sheets that you can have. To add a new sheet to a workbook, you simply click the plus sign down here. The new sheet appears immediately to the right of the current sheet. So I'll just click the plus sign another 2 or 3 times. But what if you wanted to change the default number of sheets in a new workbook? Then what you can do is you can go to File, you can go down to Options at the bottom, and in the General section, under When Creating New Workbooks, you've got an option that says Include this many sheets, which as you can see is set to 1. I'm going to change that to 4 and click OK. And then when I start a new workbook and choose Blank Workbook, you can see by default I have 4 sheets. If you have more sheets than you need, you can either leave those unused sheets in the file, or you can delete them by right-clicking on the name of the sheet that you want to delete and selecting Delete. If there is anything in that sheet, it will ask you to confirm that you want the sheet to be deleted. And be aware that Undo will not work to bring that sheet back. If you have several sheets to delete, rather than deleting them one at a time, you can select them all and delete them in one go. So say I want to delete sheets 3, 4, 5 and 6. If I click on sheet 3, hold the Shift key down on the keyboard and click on sheet 6. That has selected all of those sheets, and then I right click on any of those 4 sheets and select Delete. You can also delete non-consecutive sheets. So say I wanted to delete sheets 1, 8 and 10. I'll click on sheet 1. I'll hold the Control key down and click on sheet 8, and still with the Control key held down, click on sheet 10. And those 3 sheets are selected, and then I can right click on any of those 3 sheets and select Delete. Rather than leaving the sheet names as sheet 1, sheet 2, etc., you can change the names of the sheets to something more suitable. In this file, I'm tracking sales per quarter. I know there's no data in any of the sheets, but that is what I plan to track in here. Now, I could put all the information into sheet 1, but I'd rather break it up into 4 sheets, 1 per quarter, with a 5th sheet that pulls everything together. So if I right click on sheet 1 and select Rename, the name box opens up at the bottom for editing, and I'll type QTR1 and press Enter. I'll do the same thing for sheet 2, right click, select Rename and type QTR2, and I would do the same thing for 3 and 4. Another way that you can rename a sheet is by double clicking on its name. So I'll do that for sheet 5 and I'll change that to Summary Report. There's a couple of limitations when it comes to naming sheets. First of all, a sheet name can't be more than 31 characters. And secondly, there are some characters that can't be used, which I've put here on screen. When you attempt to use any of those characters, you won't see any kind of error message. Instead, nothing will appear in the Sheet tab as you type. You also aren't allowed to use the word history for a sheet name. That is a reserved word within Excel. If you have a lot of sheets in your workbook and you need to select one where the sheet tab is off screen, you can use these navigation arrows to bring the sheet into view and then click on its name. So let's say I wanted to select sheet 17. I can't see it at the moment, but if I use the right navigation arrow, now sheet 17 comes into view and I can click on its name. You can also use the buttons with the 3 dots. Here I'm on sheet 10 and the visible sheets are sheet 4 through to sheet 17. Clicking the 3 dots on the left selects the sheet before the one that was the first visible one. So if I click the 3 dots on the left, because sheet 4 is the first visible one, it brings sheet 3 into view. Clicking the 3 dots on the right brings into view the sheet after the one that is the last fully visible sheet. So if I click on the 3 dots on the right, it brings into view sheet 17. It selects sheet 16, but sheet 17 comes into view. A better way, because those 3 dots can be quite confusing, is to right click on those little arrows at the bottom and then select the sheet that you want to jump to and click on OK. Excel gives you the ability to hide a sheet. So say I wanted to hide sheet 3. I just right click on its name and I select Hide. If you want to hide multiple sheets, you can select the sheets as I showed you earlier. So let's select sheets 6, 7 and 8 and then right click and choose Hide. I've seen people using this feature to hide confidential information. However, that's not recommended because it's easy to unhide a sheet. Simply right click on any tab that is visible, select Unhide, choose the sheet that you want to unhide and click on OK. Here's another example of why you might want to hide sheets. This file contains lots of sheets. I need to keep the historic data from 2023, but I don't need to see it. And I don't need to see 2025 until next year. So if I hid these sheets and if I hid these sheets, then the only visible sheets are the ones for this year. And when it comes to next year, I will unhide those sheets and hide 2024. If I need to see 2023's figures for some reason, I can unhide those. Have you ever wanted to change the colour of a sheet's tab? You can easily do it by right-clicking on the tab and selecting Tab Colour and then choosing a colour. If you want to remove the colouring, right-click again and select Tab Colour and select No Colour. Finally, let me show you how to move a sheet and duplicate a sheet. The simplest way to move a sheet within the same workbook is to point to its tab and drag it, so I'm holding my left mouse button down, to the new position. So if I want sheet 1 to go between sheets 3 and 4, I just drag the mouse so that little arrowhead is between sheets 3 and 4 and let go of the mouse. You can also right click on the name of the sheet at the bottom, go to Move or Copy and say you want to move this sheet, which is sheet 2, and I'm going to put it at the end and click OK. I can also right click, select Move or Copy, and I want to say put this sheet, which is sheet 3, before sheet 5 and click OK. If you want to make a copy of a sheet, right click on the sheet name, go to Move or Copy, select where you want the sheet to go and put a tick in the box that says Create a Copy. Despite that saying Move to End, it will still create a copy. And it renames it the original sheet with a number, which you can always rename. You can also use this dialog box to move or copy the sheet to a new workbook or to another file, as long as that file is open. And that's it. Those are the key things that I think a beginner should know about managing worksheets in Excel. Well, I hope you found that video useful. If you did, please give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you in the next video, but until then, have an excellent day.